Usually we talk about central banks. Usually we talk about monetary policy. How much of the discussion here will be on tariffs and trade? And do you think we're in a global trade war?
Well, quite a bit will be on trade, definitely, because this is a new era, so to say, that has Trump has opened an era where we talk about trade more than other question, because free trade is in question. But you see, anyway, free trade was always an open question. What is free trade? Nobody knows exactly what free trade is, and what are the conditions for free trade. Is it just the WTO rules, or is it more than that? That's a very open question. And Trump at least has one good point. One point we have to acknowledge is that there are countries out there, including my own country, Germany, that have huge surpluses on trade. And this is not a normal part of open trade, of free trade, that countries are accumulating surpluses over time that are getting huger and huger. And insofar, this is a real point, and we have to take it carefully, and we should not talk about trade wars, and we should not retaliate immediately.
But this looks like it's escalating, does it not?
Yeah, it's escalating, but I think Europe at least should be de-escalating, should be the de-escalating power. The problem is that Europe itself is split. In Europe, we have the deficit countries like France, the weak countries like Italy that has a surplus but due to recession, and Germany with its huge surplus. That's an inside problem that prevents Europe from acting coherently. You see, this is the point. That's why Europe cannot play really a role. And on the other hand, we have China and the US, where the things are escalating. But I think in the least analysis there, that China is the wrong culprit, because China has done a lot to bring down its current account deficit, and it is down. It is just with the US, the bilateral deficit is still high.
But Professor Peter Navarro, who advises Donald Trump, President of the United States, took offense with China. But he also in the past has taken offense to Germany. Do you think Germany could be the next one in the the eye of the storm of President Trump?
I'm rather sure that it's going to happen, because the U.S. deficit is widening. We saw yesterday the figures are going up. They're going up quite coherently for a time, and they will act on it. I mean, the most simple thing to do would be to talk about the dollar, to talk the dollar down, and to do something to get the dollar down, which is very easy for the United States. If the dollar would fall by 25%, well, then the thing would be done, and you don't have to talk about tariffs here and there, and for this product, this is ridiculously. Technically, what they do is stupid in my view. But the general point is right. The countries have to adjust in a way that we get more balanced trade. And so far, if Trump says fair trade, it's not quite unreasonable. It's right. We need fair trade. We need better rules for trade. And but China, the focus on China from the U.S. side is wrong in my view, because China was under pressure for 20 years. I've been sitting in many G20 meetings where there was huge pressure on China, but China has acted. China has increased wages. Imports are up. The current account deficit overall towards the rest of the world is down.
Has Germany acted?
No, Germany has not acted. That's the problem. Germany has not acted. Germany wages are still growing a little bit more than before, but not really. German government is doing nothing. German government could spend. They are sitting on really piles of cash, so they could act to do more investment, infrastructure, and so on. But they're not doing it, and that is one of the big problems now.
But do you think that Germany is aware of this, and do you think that they'll do something in order to avoid President Trump retaliating against Germany specifically?
Yeah, I hope so. At the moment, I do not see it quite clearly, because we have the same pressure inside Europe. The last European Council, nobody has realized, has criticized the surplus countries quite heavily, and Germany should act. So Madam Merkel has not yet come out that she acknowledges the problem, that she sees something has to be done. And so far, the next focus could really be Germany. As I said, the focus on China is misled, because China is in such a difficult and complex situation with all the direct investment going on there. Most of the Chinese exports are still exports coming from Western firms that are producing in China, which is not the traditional export surplus that they are creating.
Do you worry that this is the end of the WTO, and do you think that Europe or certain countries should actually align themselves with the U.S. in trying to put pressure on surplus countries?
Well, Germany cannot put pressure on surplus countries. That puts pressure on itself.
France can.
But France can. Yeah, France and Italy should really put more pressure on Germany, and then to find a coherent European role. If Germany would really act on its surplus, then Europe could act coherently on the global scale. But this is not happening. But going back to WTO, you know, the WTO is a good idea, but it's badly managed, it's badly done, and the rules are not perfect, because the WTO is not dealing, for example, with undervaluation of exchange rate. There's no article that deals with this, not with other undervaluation due to wages and things like that. So it's very incomplete.